Look, the energy in Chicago right now is absolutely electric, because the biggest game of the decade is just days away and the injury report just handed us a massive win. We are talking about a full-scale offensive explosion ready to detonate on the Packers this Saturday night under the lights at Soldier Field. Our franchise cornerstone Caleb Williams is officially getting his favorite weapon back, and if you aren't hyped for this playoff showdown, you need to check your pulse. Before we break down these massive roster moves, do me a huge favor, smash that like button, share this with every Bears fan you know, and subscribe so we can blow past those Packers channels and prove who the best fanbase in the NFL really is. The headline we've all been waiting for is finally here. Rome Odunze is back in action. Caleb Williams couldn't even hide his grin when reporters asked about it, saying it's going to be great to have that connection back on the field. Think about what we saw last week. Rome was on the sidelines, jumping, running, and practically begging to get in the game. He looks 100%, and even if the coaching staff tries to ease him in, his mere presence changes everything. When you have a talent like that, even if he's only out there for 30 snaps, the defense has to play him differently. They have to respect the vertical threat, which opens up every single underneath route for the rest of the guys. If you're the Green Bay defense and Jeff Hafley, how on earth do you plan for this? You can't just double-team Rome and leave everyone else open, but you definitely can't leave him on an island. It's a nightmare scenario for a defensive coordinator who is already trying to figure out how to stop Caleb Williams' mobility. Is there any defense in the league that can actually stop a healthy Chicago offense when all the cylinders are firing? This might actually be a blessing in disguise because while Rome was sidelined, Caleb built some insane chemistry with the rookies. We've watched Colston Loveland and Luther Burden III absolutely go off lately, turning into legitimate stars right before our eyes. Loveland is becoming that safety blanket over the middle that every young quarterback dreams of, and Luther Burden is just a human highlight reel every time he touches the ball. Add a veteran like DJ Moore into that mix, who we already know torches the Packers every time he sees those yellow helmets, and you have a pick your poison scenario for their secondary. You've got size, you've got speed, and you've got elite route running all on the field at the same time. If the offensive line can just give Caleb 2.5 seconds of protection, there are going to be wide open lanes all over the turf on Saturday night. We know the plays are going to be there. We've seen the film. It just comes down to execution. Rome working his tail off to get back for this specific game tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. He wants the bright lights, and he wants to be the one to send the Packers home. But the good news doesn't stop on the offensive side of the ball. Kyler Gordon's practice window is officially open, and the word on the street is he's sitting at about 80% health. Now, I know some people worry about soft tissue, injuries recurring, especially for a guy whose game relies so much on lateral quickness and explosive closing speed. But this is the playoffs. At 80%, Kyler Gordon is still better than almost any other option we have, especially with the uncertainty surrounding other guys in the secondary like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who we really don't expect to see on Saturday. We might see Nick McLeod taking some of those snaps to keep Kyler fresh, but having Gordon out there for the high-leverage moments is a game-changer. He's a versatile chess piece for this defense. You can send him on blitzes, use him in run support to stop the outside zone, or let him lock down the slot. Question of the day: if both players are ready to go on Saturday, whose return do you think is more critical for a victory? Is it the explosive playmaking of Rome Odunze, or the defensive versatility of Kyler Gordon? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Let's see what the fans think. Personally, I'm leaning toward Gordon because this offense has been humming even without Rome, while the defense has had some shaky moments lately under Dennis Allen. We need that spark on the defensive side to keep the Packers out of the end zone and force some turnovers. If Kyler has to lay it all on the line and then recover for 2 months in the offseason, so be it. It's been a frustrating, injury-riddled year for him, but this is why you play the game. The stakes have never been higher for this group, and having your best nickel corner back in the lineup changes the entire geometry of the field. Even if he's struggling a bit with his side-to-side movement, His ability to read the quarterback and play downhill is going to be vital against a Packers team that loves to test your discipline. And just when you thought the news cycle was full, Braxton Jones comes out of nowhere. His 21-day practice window just opened, and honestly, this caught everyone off guard. We haven't seen him since late September when he was benched in that Raiders game, and he's been so quiet on social media you almost forgot he was in the building. Since then, we've seen a revolving door at the tackle positions. Darnell Wright has been a pillar, but the other side has been a question mark. The timing here is incredibly suspicious. Is he just insurance because the depth at tackle struggled last week? Or are the coaches worried that some of the other guys' injuries are worse than they're letting on? We saw Aussie Trapillo deal with that nasty knee and quad issue, and Theo Benedict didn't exactly set the world on fire when he had to fill in. If you saw the photos of Trapillo's leg pre-game, it was bruised to high heaven. So, bringing Braxton Jones back into the fold right now suggests that the medical staff is looking for any viable body to protect our franchise QB. Having an extra veteran who has started dozens of games in this league is a massive luxury for a playoff run. It's a bit of a mystery why we haven't seen a single photo of him at practice or in the locker room for months. But if he's cleared to play, he provides a level of experience that you just can't coach. Whether he starts or just acts as a high-end backup, his return adds a whole new layer of intrigue to the Saturday night strategy. It shows that management is leaving no stone unturned to ensure this roster is as deep as possible for the gauntlet ahead. Finally, we have to talk about the front office because other teams are officially circling our talent like vultures. The Atlanta Falcons have requested an interview with our assistant GM, Cunningham. It makes total sense. The connections are everywhere. With Matt Ryan expected to take over football operations in Atlanta, and his deep history with our own front office, Cunningham is a natural fit. We know Ryan Poles and Matt Ryan are incredibly close from their days at Boston College. They were roommates, for crying out loud. Matt Ryan has been hanging around our facility for the last couple of years, seeing firsthand how this team was rebuilt from the ground up. He's seen how Cunningham works as the right-hand man to Poles. It's a bit of a double-edged sword for us, right? On one hand, you hate to lose a brilliant mind who has helped scout and develop the stars we are cheering for today. He worked under Howie Roseman in Philadelphia, so he knows what a championship roster looks like. On the other hand, if he lands a GM job, we get 2 third-round draft picks because of the league's minority candidate rules. That means a third-rounder this year and another one next year. In a year where we need to keep stacking young defensive talent and maybe find another interior lineman, those extra picks would be gold. Cunningham deserves the opportunity. He's been a finalist for multiple jobs and he's clearly ready to run his own show. Honestly, I'd bet on him being in Atlanta by the time the draft rolls around. It's a win for him, and in terms of draft capital, it's a win for the future of this organization. As we get closer to kickoff, you can feel the tension building. This isn't just another game, it's a statement. It's about proving that the North belongs to us. We've seen the mock drafts, we've heard the pundits talk about how the Packers have the playoff experience, but they haven't seen this version of the Chicago Bears. They haven't seen a healthy Rome Odunze pairing up with a confident Caleb Williams. They haven't seen our defense at full strength with Kyler Gordon flying around the secondary. This is the moment where all the hard work of the last 3 years comes to a head. The front office has done its job, the players have put in the work to get healthy, and now it's up to the fans to make Soldier Field a living nightmare for anyone wearing green and gold. Could this be the start of a legendary playoff run that changes the culture in Chicago forever? The pieces are falling into place, the stars are getting healthy, and the rivalry is renewed on the biggest stage possible. We're going to be tracking every single update, every practice report, and every rumor leading up to kickoff. If there's a change in the weather or a shift in the betting lines, you'll hear it here first. Make sure your notifications are on and stay locked in. We might even have another update for you later today because the news just isn't stopping and the hype is reaching a breaking point. Get your gear ready, get your voices loud, and let's get ready to defend our home turf and show the world what Chicago football is all about. Bear down! Would you like me to adjust the focus of any specific player's section or add more detail regarding the upcoming opponent?